America and what that meant on a scientific basis, and a lot of data was given. But this was a depiction of actually how the American neighborhoods and streets would actually look and the people that would be displayed. So in Scientific America also, they also addressed multiracial culture. Okay, we have a new culture, multiracial culture. They have a different gene pool, and they have a lot of interesting issues that they have to deal with, because now, due to just overt mass miscegenation, we have cultural, genetic ideologies that are actually being confronted at this point in time. Next. So here they have some interesting graphs here. Can you lower just a little bit? Can you see at the top? One of the charts actually shows the progression of melanated races over a period of approximately 30, 40 years, and also the trend in marriages also that would occur during that time. So I find it always very interesting that these graphs and charts are always prognosticated 30 to 40 to 50 years ahead of time, and it's very interesting how they usually come to pass. But it's not magical. There are things that are actually put into place to help guide these predicted trends so that they will actually occur. Next. Now this was very interesting. I got this out of my local newspaper when I lived in Michigan in 1992, again, where this was actually predicted at that time. And I thought it was very interesting, and I was quite concerned that from the year 1990 up until the year 2050, these pie graphs indicate that the number of African Americans in America will only increase by 2%. Do you see that? From 1990 up until 2050, there's only a 2% increase for African Americans. So epidemiologically, that's what we call a zero population growth. Okay. Which also is a measure of extinction. Okay. Next. So, first of all, let's examine slavery and actually what that means. So, Webster's Collegiate Dictionary states that slavery is an involuntary subjection to another or others, involuntary bondage and servitude, and complete ownership and control by a master. Next. It also had a lot of other sub-definitions of, hard work, potential abuse, a lot of other things, but that's the general definition. The question here, and this is very important, that I have not heard us want to really face and really take a look at it and discuss. How and why did such a large population of humans become slaves, and what was the common factor which supported the ability of slavery to become a reality for millions of Africans? Okay, usually when you hear the story, it just is like, okay, we were slaves and boom, we had to do 100 years, as though there was not a choice. There was a choice. And I have never heard any collective group of African Americans address why a choice wasn't made as opposed to why the choice was made that we would do slavery as opposed to not to do slavery, because you do have a choice. Next. So, the common psychological states that promote captivity, because there are states that promote captivity, are a threat to one's sense of survival or a desire to survive. Okay. Two survival techniques the brain uses. Now, it's very important here because we're going to talk about different aspects of the body. Your physical body, your mental body, your emotional body. And I'm going to comment just slightly on the spirit. But these three bodies are critical in beginning to understand how they interface and how they interact in you making the decisions on your everyday life. Most of us do not understand that we make decisions from a source, but we really are not clear about what body is dictating. Is it the physical body that's dictating? Is it the emotional body that's dictating? Is it the mind that is dictating why you are doing and living and thinking the way you're thinking? Now, you have to understand that this is the greatest issue as to why we have not taken our proper position in the world at this point, and also have not reached our sovereignty, as we have observed and often complain about the fact that we see other races come over here. They don't speak the language, or they have difficulty speaking the language. We've noticed that within 5 years, they're able to basically be totally solvent, self-employed, etc., and on their way. Now, you've been here for almost 200 years, and you're still struggling with that. So what I have seen is that we focus and direct a lot of aggression to them, a lot of hostile attitudes, as though they've come and taken something away from us. That is not true. And so the key here is that you have to ask yourself, how can a person come to a country that was foreign to them, just like it was foreign to you when you were brought over here, even though it was under duress, and in 5 years' time be able to basically have you buy from them? See, it's very important now that you have to really be a scientist now and start figuring this out. Emotions are over. We've lost a lot of lives. We've wasted a lot of time moving into emotions and not dealing with logic and data here. Okay? So, there are two major techniques that your brain, the brain is a part of the physical body. It is not your mind. It is not your emotional body. It is not your spiritual body. It is part of the physical body. But it is a vast reservoir of information that, when activated, if the mind or the emotional body or the spirit does not interfere, will tell your body what to do. That is why you're able to drive home and not think about how to drive home. That is why you can read a book and don't have to make sure that your lungs are working and your heart is beating, because the brain is telling the body what to do. So the brain understands that the body is supposed to live indefinitely. And so if the mind hasn't figured that out, if the emotions are confused and haven't figured that out, the brain will take action and make the body do things so that it is not sacrificed. Do you understand? So therefore, as I said here, the brain will actually make decisions, and two major influences here that will totally shut down the mental body is the technique known as imprinting, which is the capacity to permanently alter the behavior of an individual by introducing a strong stimuli at a specific time over a known period of time, and the original stimuli is never introduced again. Okay? Now, there have been many scientists. This art of altering animal behavior by introducing stimuli at specific times for specific durations is known as ethology, E-T-H-O-L-O-G-Y. It's a whole science. And they have learned how to be able to take any animal and they can totally change their mating patterns, their identification patterns, etc. Many times to the demise of the animal, but they can do that. They also do these things to human beings. Now, there's a second process that the mind is totally shut down and the brain surrenders to, that's known as conditioning. Conditioning is a process of changing behavior by rewarding or punishing a subject each time an action is performed. So we talk about that when they've done this with the Skinner mazes with rats. You can teach roaches. You know, in my lab, we had roaches. They knew who you were, when you came in, etc. You know, roaches are very intelligent, and they can be trained. No, I'm serious. Okay? So I'm telling you that you can use these techniques, and the natural brain, the computerized mechanism of the body, will actually dictate your behavior. Next. Okay. Now, this is very important to understand, that consciousness and energy create your reality. This is what my teacher has taught me, and truly in everything that I see, it is true. consciousness and energy create your reality. So that means then that if it's not your consciousness and your energy that's